We invite all listeners to tune in every Thursday at approximately 7:25 a.m. for TTUTA Speaks, a program which deals with all issues affecting teachers, schools, and the education sector in general. So join us right here on I-95.5 every Thursday morning at 7:25. A blessed good morning to all I-95.5 listeners. This is the segment TTUTA Speaks, and I am your presenter, Patricia Eversley. Last week's program dealt with the day of rest and reflection on Friday, September 7th, 2018. The president of the Trinidad and Tobago Unified Teachers Association, Mr. Lindsley A. Dudai, explained why the General Council felt the need for teachers to rest and reflect, and he outlined some of the main issues. Very importantly, he stated categorically that this was not political in nature. Today, the president of TTUTA has joined me once again on the program to speak on this same issue. Good morning, Mr. Dudai, and welcome.
Good morning, Patricia, and good morning to all I-95.5 listeners who are listening in this morning.
So there is a perception that has emerged in the media and even amongst teachers that TTUTA is supporting a day of rest and reflection because of the Petrotrin issue. Can you comment on this?
It has been extensively reported that the reason for such rest and reflection was simply a show of solidarity with the Oilfield Workers Trade Union, the OWTU, and the Petrotrin workers whom they represent over their pending retrenchment arising out of the intended closure of the refinery at Point-a-Pierre. However, since June 2018, TTUTA's General Council felt the need for its teachers to consider their disgust and frustration on several key issues through a day of rest and reflection, and in so doing, to the joint trade union movement.
Last week, you outlined a number of issues that promoted this rest and reflection. Please remind our listeners of some of the main ones.
There are many reasons that prompted the call for teachers to engage in a day of rest and reflection. I want to remind our listeners that these issues include a non-response of the CPO to our proposals for a new collective agreement. It has been almost 3 years now since the association would have submitted proposals for a new collective agreement. However, the CPO has not had the common courtesy to even to respond to these proposals. The issue of the refusal to pay teachers for the marking of school-based assessments is another issue that has prompted the call for the day of rest and reflection. Very importantly, the deplorable and unsafe working conditions that many of our teachers and students face in our schools on a daily basis. At the beginning of this term, earlier this week, it was no different. The minister would have highlighted that 5 schools could not reopen. However, the data collected by TTUTA would have pointed to the fact that over 25 schools could not reopen. We are making a statement that our teachers and our students deserve better working conditions. Many of our members are due increments, incremental arrears, acting allowances, and even traveling allowances. And they have been owed these sums of money for a very long period of time, in some instances for years. The Ministry of Education has been very lethargic and tardy with respect to dealing with the monies that have been owed to our teachers.
Have attempts been made by the association to resolve these issues with the Chief Personnel Officer and the Ministry of Education or the Division of Education in Tobago?
Of course, the question will be asked whether there have been attempts by the association to resolve these issues. The association has met and is continuing to meet with the Chief Personnel Officer, with the Ministry of Education, and in Tobago, the Division of Education, to treat with these issues. However, the Ministry of Education, the Chief Personnel Officer, and the Division of Education in Tobago gave little priority to treating with these critical matters, and their cavalier attitude has shown their contempt for teachers, schools, and the national community. The message that is coming from them seems to be that the nation's children do not deserve safe, healthy, and secure schools and fully motivated teachers.
How do you explain these actions to parents?
Of course, some parents would be upset and will want to chastise the association and teachers for engaging in this day of rest and reflection. However, it must be noted that this action has not been undertaken lightly. Many other approaches have been explored to no avail. Many of the issues that I would have identified span over a decade, and there have been countless meetings between TTUTA and the Ministry of Education, and between TTUTA and the Division of Education in Tobago in an attempt to resolve these matters. It is these authorities that continue to be unreasonable and to frustrate teachers and schools at every turn.
Mr. Dudai, what are your closing comments?
In closing, I'd want to ask teachers to dismiss outright any intimidatory tactics by the Minister of Education and the Ministry of Education. Teachers are not engaging in industrial action if they choose to rest and reflect on September 7th. If teachers choose to not attend school on Friday, they will, as they have done in the past, utilize their leave provisions as allowed to them under the Education Act. The question of losing salary or unauthorized leave does not arise. I want to remind teachers that under a former president of TTUTA, whose name is Anthony Garcia, teachers in the past would have engaged in days of rest and reflection. They would have engaged in something called 212. And under the presidency of Mr. Garcia, teachers would have stayed away from school on the Monday and the Tuesday of a given week. They would have returned to school on the Wednesday, and they would have once again stayed away on the Thursday and Friday. So Mr. Garcia would have introduced 212 to TTUTA and to teachers of the country at that point in time. The association believes that Mr. Garcia has been hypocritical now in terms of threatening teachers with disciplinary action or with any punitive measure. I want to assure all teachers that you have nothing to fear. Do not be intimidated by the utterances of the Minister of Education or the Ministry of Education. Teachers, rest and reflect on September 7th, and when you do return to your schools, please apply for the necessary leave.
Thank you very much, Mr. Dudai, for joining us on the program TTUTA Speaks. This has been TTUTA Speaks. You can contact us at gensec.ttuta@gmail.com or telephone us at 645-2134 or contact TTUTA's president, Mr. Lindsley Dudai, at 681-8057. Once again, contact us at gensec.tuta@gmail.com. Phone us at 645-2134 or phone Mr. Dudai at 681-8057.